So Blood, that's the first tool, right? I don't have sets of anything on this, so please pop your cooldowns defensives on this, because I think we're gonna get spanked so hard. Also, keep it in your pants. I'm stunning. Oh lord, one interrupt, Oh, it's fine, I'm here. Nothing happened. Oh! That was a lot of damage. Ouchie! Nothing happened, right? We just go again. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Marta Plays. Today we are going to embark in a new World of Warcraft adventure featuring a Floodgate 11 and my undergeared Shaman alt. First thing first, the spec I'm playing is Totemic, the less popular Resto spec for the season. However, I really enjoy the chilling aspect of the spec granted by the passive healing that it provides. Here's the talent build. The priority of this spec is keeping your healing rain totem up and your healing stream totem down. The talents grant that every time you cast healing stream or healing rain, you will also cast chain heal on the party from the totem. Meanwhile, you want to keep Riptide rolling on 2 of your allies. Each time you cast Riptide, you will also gain a haste buff on your next healing wave, healing surge, or chain heal, so it is crucial to take full advantage of it. Additionally, you should aim to keep at least a flame shock up on one enemy or more, as it will give you free procs of Lava Burst, which in turn will empower your next healing surge. That's your fast cast healing spell, and through the talent Master of the Elements, it will gain extra haste after you cast your Lava Burst. This will also help you maintain your flame shocks, because Master of the Elements will also spread your flame shock to 3 additional enemy targets each time you cast an empowered healing surge. When damage occurs, you will use Chain Heal, preferably on your Riptide target, because it will grant 40% more healing and triage the lowest targets with Healing Surge, especially if empowered by Master of the Elements. The remaining global cooldowns should be used by casting Lightning Bolt on single target, or Chain Lightning when 3 or more mobs are up, since it will give you some mana back for each critical strike, and remember to keep using one of your 2 charges of Lava Burst on cooldown. Additionally, each time you cast one of your healing totem, they will also cast a mini chain heal, making it a quick bursting spec when needed. Note that Flame Shock will grant you additional procs of Lava Burst even if it's already on cooldown, hence why you want to maximize casting it. When we started this 11, I was very dubious about being able to successfully heal it, because this character was very unlucky with Vault drops, and despite my effort to do Delves and M0s, I couldn't get any piece of the new tier. The same curse applied to the keys I've run before this 11, which means I'm still running last season's tier set and accessories, leaving me at a whooping 678 eye level. Good thing that Shamans have some of the most powerful healing cooldowns in game, which are Ascendance, Spirit Link Totem, and Healing Tide Totem. Ascendance is your empowered form. As soon as you cast it, you will instantly heal your whole party, and it will empower all of your healing abilities and totems, duplicating each cast at 70% effectiveness. It is a good idea to time the usage when party-wide damage occurs. I sometimes pair it with Healing Tide Totem if I feel I'm struggling with keeping up with the damage intake, but I also like to use the totem on its own during bigger trash pulls. It's basically a pulsating healing away ability lasting 10 seconds that heals your party. Last but not least, Spirit Link Totem. Insanely good and flexible, it links the health of the players standing within its range for 6 seconds, basically preventing people from dying as long as it is up. Meanwhile, you keep pumping healing into everyone. It can also be used to mitigate tank busters or high single damage abilities on one person. Note that positioning this totem is particularly important. I use a macro that basically lets me cast it on my mouse location. I'll leave it in the description below. Playing Totemic also means you will be able to relocate your totems thanks to the talent Totemic Projection, once every 10 seconds, so even if you somehow put it down on the wrong spot or the party has to move out, you can quickly relocate it right on you. I use these cooldowns freely throughout the dungeon to mitigate the damage and help my group survive. They all are between 2 to 3 minutes cooldowns. I generally hold on to them when we approach boss fights, as I want to have at least one ready for the first damage phase. Another very fun aspect of this class is the active support you can give to your group by having the fastest ranged interrupt in game, Wind Shear, on an 8 seconds cooldown, and a decent amount of crowd control abilities, a stun through Capacitor Totem, a knock-up ability with Thunderstorm, and even a slow through Harbiding Totem, which can become a routing ability if talented into Earth Grab Totem. Since this season's brought back some enemies who like to run away when low on health, such as the Groundkeepers in Halls of Atonement, or fights where adds need to be slowed or stopped, such as the first boss in Arakara, these abilities can come very handy. Last but not least, you will be the Bloodlust in your group, which in our very composition is very nice to have. Onwards to our run. Floodgate is a revamp from last season. It was one of my favorite dungeons, and I'm actually very happy they brought it back. After the usual first pool with the Shredders and the Little Goblin, which we played using Bloodlust, the routing slightly changed as they removed Bubbles, the mini-boss, in the second part of the dungeon. So you will need to make up on the percentage by pulling additional packs around the large puddle that you cross to get to the dynamic duo boss. There you have either the bombshell crabs, which will explode on death dealing party-wide damage, or the divers, which are particularly nasty. These mobs can be pretty dangerous, thanks to their grappling ability that will leave a dot on the target, and it can drag you through the grenades that they will set on the ground. The tank needs to kite those mobs away from the bombs and keep them in front of them, and the party needs to position accordingly to avoid being exploded to pieces. The other packs features Surveyors, which have a high damage channeled ability called Surveying Beam, which will damage the target and make them leave a trail of molten lava on the ground that deals additional damage if you step on it. That's a priority for interrupting, as it can very well kill a party member in a couple of ticks. Additionally, you will have the Loader bots, who periodically will start to spin and fixate on a target. This is particularly dangerous for melee players, and they can be stunned or knocked back to prevent them from spinning. And then the Architect, a guy we call the Fortnite Dude, who will periodically build a barricade that needs to be destroyed in order to deal damage to him. And we'll also use his nail gun ability to nail someone to the floor. If you get nailed down in range of the spinning robots or during a surveying beam, it might very well be your demise. That's why we use our crowd control rotationally to keep everyone as safe as possible. The other kind of trash mob that you will encounter are the Inspectors. They have a sidestep ability which will teleport them behind the target and cast a frontal cone ability called Surprise Inspection that needs to be sidestepped. The Dynamic Duo is a fight about coordination. There's a fair amount of movement required and some positioning. The duo consists of a little goblin, Kiza, and a big ogre, Bront, with different abilities. Basically, the goblin boss will spawn bombs with her big bada-boom ability, which have a ticking clock above them and will detonate, dealing party-wide damage. The ogre boss will apply a dot debuff to one player, called Kinetic Explosive Gel, which allows them to blow up the grenades if dispelled within range. So, as a healer, you want to wait until they get in range of one or more mobs before dispelling them, while healing them up, since the dot and the dispel will both deal a fair amount of damage to them. After that, Bront will target a random player and charge towards them with barreling charge, knocking up any bomb on his path. What you need to do is bait his charge to hit them while not being hit yourself. Additionally, in this phase, there will be fire AoE on the group to be avoided. There will be 3 charges, and the last one will always be on the tank. The debuff will be cast again before new bombs are spawned, so that you will have plenty of chances to get rid of those, granted that you and your party are good at lines. After the charges, there's an intermission with party-wide damage and lines to dodge on the ground, then the fight will repeat phase 1 and alternate between those two, until you kill the bosses. These two mobs don't share their health pool, so the party will have to DPS them down equally. Note that the ogre has significantly more health, so he will need some more attention. If one dies before the other, the survivor will be empowered, and of course you will have to deal with only half of the mechanics. If by chance the goblin is left, you will have to kill her before the bomb's timer expires, as you won't have any way to get rid of those. So Big Mama will spawn ads, which needs to be clipped down and interrupted when they cast their channeled ability Maximum Distortion, to prevent the party to be knocked back continuously while taking AoE damage. This ability might very well cause a wipe. They will additionally charge in a random direction during their Doomstorm. Note that you need to dodge them on both ways, as they will also come charging back. Meanwhile, Big Mama will also target a player with her Sonic Boom ability, which will shoot a disc of energy which silences and knocks back anyone who gets hit by it. It will track you, so make sure to point it away from your party and strafe to the side to minimize the damage. Upon reaching 100 energy, the boss will overcharge and start dealing AoE damage on the party. If you kill all 4 of her heads, then she will be taking extra damage, so we pop Bloodlust and try to burn it down as fast as possible. If you don't manage to kill the ads before she reaches full energy, she will gain a kill block barrier, reducing damage taken by her by 80%, so you really want to get rid of those pesky little robots. I like to use Healing Tide on the first damage amp and eventually Spirit Link on the second one. By then the boss should pretty much be dead, or you have a DPS problem. After the AoE damage, Big Mama will electrify the ground beneath her and spawn 4 new drones, so the tank needs to move her and use the space wisely to avoid getting stuck in a corner. And once you beat her, finally, go pilfer the boxes on the platform and then move up the stairs to drop down to the waterfall area where the next boss will be located. Another slight change they made for Season 3 in this dungeon is moving the pack that was guarding these boxes to a corner, so you won't have to pull it in order to pilfer that stack. I appreciate it because the Blood Warper, the big caster mob in that trash, is particularly scary. You will still face one of these at the top of the stairs. What makes it dangerous is this AoE cast called Warp Blood, which will deal party-wide damage and apply a healing debuff on everyone, so it's best to keep one healing cooldown for this and focus DPS on him while cleaving on the rest of the mobs. Note that you'll have Surveyors and Inspectors, and also the Demolitionist, a bazooka guy who will periodically shoot his thing and place huge AoEs to dodge on the ground. So this pull is a delicate one. After pilfering the last set of boxes, we don't use the glider, but simply jump down the waterfall since we already killed the dynamic duo. We dispatch the pack of disturbed kelps elementals and activate the pile of grenades to spawn Swamp Face. Okay, there we go with the pilfering. And then the drop down. Note that the healer can stay behind and activate the grenades while the party still fights the mobs, granted that you don't get in combat. This pack of mobs has an AoE spinning ability, the Jettison Kelp, that can be stunned, feared, or knocked back, and they will also periodically heal themselves with restorative algae, so you want to burn them down fast while interrupting as much as you can. Next up is one phase after a short intermission, during which you will learn why we don't face bubbles anymore. We already actually did it because we activated the boss during the fight with this trash. So Swamp Phase has a nasty tank buster which will leave a healing absorption on the tank and requires the tank to keep a damage reduction ability for it. And it will also link for players in couples with Razor Choke vines, forcing the pair to move together as the roots will pull them back in place if they step too far from each other. The vines also deal a dot damage the whole time they are up, but the healer will always be spared unless one of the DPS dies. This becomes relevant because the boss will also cast a frontal ability called Mudslide that needs to be dodged. We conventionally have the group move to the left when it happens, while I try to bait it to the back of Swamp Face to save them from having to move. Note that this doesn't always work. After the frontal, it will cast Awaken the Swamp, during which water waves will erupt from 5 spots around us and he will deal AoE damage to the party, so I recommend keeping a healing cooldown for this and dodge as much as possible. After the intermission, he will cast his Tank Busters, Sludge Claws, and then apply Roots again. This cycle will repeat until you bait it. Once we get rid of him, we jump down the conduit and in the sewers for the last part of the dungeon. Here we will face more goblin surveyors and inspectors, and also a new kind of trash mob, the electrician. These guys are casters that need to be interrupted, and they will also place a dot on a random player that needs to be dispelled, because not only it deals a lot of damage, but it will also stun if you let it expire, and with all of the frontals involved in this pulse, you really don't want that. Yeah, here we had to tank that because there was a lot going on. But we didn't wipe, so that's fine, right? Okay, this guy stayed behind and we couldn't pull him. I almost died in the effort to do it. That's part of being a shaman, I guess. The very last pools in this area are the spicy ones. You will face the jump starters, big ogres that spawn circles on the ground and deal constant ticket damage on the party with their battery discharge, while also beating up the tank with a spark slam. Movement is crucial since you really want to dodge the circles, while also dealing with the mechanics from the other trash mobs that you will pull with them. And finally, after this door, we will be facing Gizel Gigazap, the last boss in the instance. This encounter will start right away with him jumping on the control panel and channeling his turbocharge ability, a 10-second cast that will deal party-wide pulsating damage and spawn lines to be dodged on the ground, radiating from the boss. After each cast of turbocharge, he will collapse some debris to be dodged, the brown circles on the ground, and then spawn damn water puddles that you will need to neutralize the sparks that will fixate on each player and follow them. The only way to stop them is to kite them on the water puddle, which will then be electrified and will stun you if you step on it, so beware. Additionally, the boss will target 2 players with his Gigazap ability, a 4 yards AoE damage that applies a dot on the target and electrifies any water puddles touched by it, so try to stay away from those in order to keep them for the sparks. Gizel will also cast Thunder Punch on the tank, dealing massive damage and knocking them back while leaving a dot on them. If they touch any water puddle, they will also electrify it. To prevent being knocked off the platform or launched across the room, it is recommended to tank the boss with the tank having their back at the control console. We have Bloodlust back for this fight, so we pop it as soon as we pull and burn him down as fast as we can. It's a close call, but timed, it's time. All in all, this was a very fun adventure. Thanks for watching and I hope you enjoyed the walkthrough. See you next!